And then I'm assuming you want to manage authors not just through one book, but for their career, right?
Yeah.
What kind of conversations do you have, and what kind of career? How do you go about talking with an author and making sure everybody's got reasonable expectations for what that career is going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you asked that, and that's something too that I think on the initial agent call is an important thing to talk about. And I always try to bring up is sort of what someone envisions for their career, and I think they should make sure that their agent is looking at that too, as opposed to just thinking about the one project. But yeah, I mean, for me, I try to have those conversations, not irregularly. I mean, I think having regular conversations about what they see coming next, what they want to focus on next, is really important, and always having in mind the sort of long-term goal. Some authors are in the back of their minds thinking about eventually writing a novel for adults, and I love to know that, because I think it gives me an idea of what might be coming and what I might be able to help them work on with, and also for me to then start thinking about how to help them pivot, and how to start thinking about if they are, for example, going to write something for adults and they want to write an adult thriller, like who are the right editors in the adult world for that, and just start thinking ahead. So I think that it's really, an ongoing and constant conversation. I think something an author should never shy away from bringing up, because I think an agent should be able to strategize with their clients, and think about what those next steps might look like to get them there.
And if somebody's thinking about writing for adults, or if the thought is, hey, I'm going to write 3 beautiful middle grade books and then erotic thrillers, is that something where that would maybe change whether or not you're the right agent for someone like that who's going to be working in such a vastly different genre?
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, it's good to know. I think it'd be good to know, especially if it was something I felt like I was not at all qualified to work on for whatever reason. I think it's good to be upfront about that kind of thing. It can never hurt. And I think if the relationship is solid enough, and if I have enough faith in the writer to, branch out in different ways, like I would love to be the person to help them to do that. And I think, there's also the possibility that, that's a fork in the road that we might get to at a certain point, and then there are conversations to be had. But I think honesty and transparency, you could never go wrong.
And for the record, I actually do know some middle grade authors who also write erotic thrillers, and they're wonderful.
Amazing.
Great. They're some of the best people on earth.
Of course they are. Sure they are. Yeah.
Well, I am biased, because anytime somebody tells me they're an author, like, you could tell me someone murdered 30 people, but they did it because of frustrations over an unpublished novel. Aww.
Oh, I see.
It couldn't have been all bad.